member is doing, he will furnish you with the document that he's holding. But that evidence, okay, if you say that it was under other government obligations, all right, it must be a line item in the budget as approved by Parliament. It must be very well. Council, yes. You know, I know you are my senior at the bar, but I beg you, I'm the chairman of one of the chairmen of this committee. All right, so, and council would listen to the committee and its members and not argue with us. Thank you very much. So, no.
By not arguing, you mean he can't make his point, or
no?
What,
he can. No.
Calm down.
Honorable. With all due respect.
Calm down.
If we were debating this motion in Parliament, the counsel to the Honorable Minister would not have had the opportunity to be at the bar of Parliament. Once we are here, and he has a right to counsel, all right, I expect that counsel can make his submissions, but not interrupt the chair when the chair is making a point. That is the point that I'm making.
Honorable Chair, the point is very well noted.
Thank you very much. That not, I mean, we have to stamp the authority of Parliament. It's not about Dr. Ayine, it is about the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you.
Yeah, Chair, I'm happy to tender all the documents I'm referring to.
No, you are not tendering. You are a member of the committee. You furnish them with the documentary evidence that you have referred to.
Very well, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for the guidance. So I will make them available through you to the clerks and to the witnesses. Yes, they can. The clerk can come for them.
Let's confirm with that. You need to have a look at them now to be able to answer, or what do you want to do? What's your...
Honorable Co-Chair, as a factual matter, we are of the considered opinion that there was no violation of any constitutional provision. There was also no violation of any subsidiary legislation. And we will educate ourselves with the facts as disclosed by the documentation in the possession of the honorable member, but it will not change our opinion.
So what is the exercise in giving you the documents? It won't change anything. So the point I was making is that you want it now, you want the documents now, or...
Yes, we would like to see, but he can go on with his questioning. Yes, but for the specific answer to the question that was put to the Honorable Minister, he has already explained. And at the risk of sounding repetitive, I would say that the payments were lawful because they were authorized by an appropriation. And subsequent to the appropriation, the payments were authorized out of the contingency vote on the specific allocation made for other government business. And the Honorable Minister and the other government obligations. And the Minister illustrated that point when he referred to payments made on behalf of the Black Stars in 2014, as well as the current Qatar delegation. It's a similar situation. We would be hard-pressed to answer that question.
That is well taken, Council. The fact that a violation might have occurred in 2014 doesn't mean that it cannot occur. It should not. That a finger should not be. No, please. That is an expression of their opinion, right? Very, very well. Honorable members, order. Please, the honorable ministers around the table, I know you are here to support your colleague, but I am pleading with you. Yes. Yes, you are heckling the members of the committee, and that's very unfair. That is very unfair. Please, can we have some order around the table and let the Honorable Okujata Blakwa ask his questions? Thank you, honorable members.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, for the protection. The Honorable Minister for Finance is still proceeding strongly under the contingency vote provided for under the Office of Government Machinery. Other government obligations, yes. I have asked the Honorable Minister to let us understand respectfully why, after you have done that, you did not report to this House, as has been the practice, because other government obligations, the Finance Committee and the plenary will approve all of these matters after, and then the new budget for the ensuing year will also receive subsequent approval. How is it that until we intercepted these documents, Parliament didn't know at all that apparently public funds were going into this project, contrary to the initial promises anyway that the Ghanaian people had been told?
Honorable Co-Chairs, it's really not a practice for a line-by-line reporting, except under goods and services, CAPEX, etc. If it is a new approach that you would like to suggest, I think we'll consider it. I think my discomfort was the issue of constitutionality.
So, Mr. Chairman, can the Honorable Minister recall that on the 28th of November 2018, when we debated the 2019 budget, the minority cautioned that, and I quote, this was, I hope Dr. Ayeni doesn't mind me quoting verbatim from what he said at column 2893 of the 28 November 2018 budget. He said in the penultimate paragraph, quote, Mr. Speaker, I have reviewed the budget statement itself, and there is no statement whatsoever which relates to the National Cathedral. In other words, there has been no request for any estimate to be approved by this House for its construction. Mr. Speaker, a number of critical questions may be asked at this point in time because the Honorable Minister for Finance mentioned it in his speech, but it is not contained in the budget statement. I would want to ask 4 critical questions about this budget statement. Mr. Speaker, the first one is, what is the value of the land to be provided by the state? I'm aware 21 townhouses that were built to house our judges will be demolished for the purpose of the construction of the National Cathedral. Mr. Speaker, another critical question is, what is the cost of running the Secretariat for the entire duration of the construction of the National Cathedral? How much is the seed money to be provided by the state? And on. There were no answers. Does the Honorable Minister recall this debate? And is he able to tell us that the practice now for such important projects, national edifice, some estimates putting it at $400 million, that he's going to always hide it under contingency till it is completed?
Before the Honorable Minister answers, did you say that there were no responses to what you...
Yes. There were no responses at all.
Hansard?
Yes, the Hansard of 28 November. So if he recalls this debate, because some people have argued that probably...
No, but he wasn't in the House to have been able to respond. Is that the point?
Yeah, but the convention in this house is that the ministry must be represented during the debate.
It wasn't like a question put to him directly, but it was
during the debate. The debate.
He couldn't have been there and he couldn't have responded.
Yeah, but does he recall that we raised these concerns?
Let's put that on record. Not that he avoided answering questions. Yeah.
We raised these concerns during the debate. So what we are doing now is not new. Does he recall? And the second part of my question is that, is it a new practice to classify such a major national project, $400 million, under contingency?
Thank you very much. Co-chairs, I think on Tuesday, we were very, very particular about the issues of particulars for this censure to make sure that we work within the remit. The question is one of constitutionality, which apparently we have been able to clear the air on. And now drawing us into a fishing expedition becomes a very difficult thing. I don't think we will be able to finish this. And if it's really a motion of censure of the finance minister, and it is these issues that are directing us to that, I think we need to be a bit careful. So we can certainly update Parliament at any time on these issues. But I think the people of Ghana should know very clearly that the issue of unconstitutional withdrawals did not occur, and we could have ensured that it didn't come. But in fact, I think Honorable Atta Forson, if you look in the Hansard, did mention something about contingency fund anyway. So I'm not sure the honorable member as to the issue of value of land, cost of the secretariat, how much seed money, is this a new practice? I'm sure we could have resolved these things outside of the ambit of constitutionality, which is what I've been brought here for. And that is a heavy, heavy charge.
Mr. Minister, I think I keep on assuring you that the question of, we're not here to interpret the Constitution, we're not here to enforce the Constitution. If anything, we are applying the dictates of the Constitution. I think the point is settled. As far as I'm concerned, it's settled. It may be throwing in additional information, but for me, it is settled. The question was that some monies were taken for the purpose of the building of the cathedral. Unless, of course, there's a categorical denial that any monies were taken, then it's an entirely different matter altogether. But if it's admitted that some monies were taken, I think your point is that you took it out of a certain grant, a certain vote. I think you call it other government obligation. That's where you took the money from. You said that that came to Parliament for our consideration and approval. Well, wait a minute. No, I'm not debating you. Yes, I'm trying to make a point yes. I mean, that is the point that you have made. He says that, as far as he recalls, there was some discussion in Parliament along these same lines. You went there, so you'll be able to answer that question. We debated this and raised exactly the questions that he's raising about the how much was involved, whatever the money is. Your point, as far as I'm concerned, it's what you made already, and that's what your lawyer said. So the constitutionality argument, it shouldn't trouble us at all. There are modalities. One second.
Okay.
This is the Constitution. To take money out of the government, whatever. Constitution provides for how it is done. That I think is the constitutionally is talking about. The government, other obligations and whatever, they fall under the same law. And your point is made clear that this is how I took the money. So constitutional arguments don't come in here. My colleague Mesa wants to make a contribution.
Mr. Chairman, indeed, I'm surprised at the.
I keep talking about feelings of people getting surprised
because I'm very well. I'm making reference specifically to page 134 of 165, and then also page 135 of 165, where the Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa posed the question. And if you permit me, I'll read. He says, Mr. Blakwa, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. On the National Cathedral, Dr. Atuforsen indicated that Article 178 has been breached because there was no authorization by Parliament. I have heard some government communicators say that perhaps the Honorable Minister of Finance can come under contingency and do what he has done. Is that a view you share? Does the contingency fund under our constitutional arrangement allow an honorable minister for finance to do what has happened in this case? And this is a response that Dr. Forsen gave. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm not aware that a contingency fund in particular can be used for such a project. The Constitution is clear on how the contingency fund can be used. For the Honorable Minister responsible for finance to be able to use the contingency fund, he would need the approval of the Finance Committee of Parliament. You would recall that during the COVID-19 era, the Honorable Minister for Finance appeared before Parliament and got approval under the Constitution requirement on contingency fund. So clearly, the transcript from the first day of hearing suggested that some contingency fund process had been employed. And that is why the minister...
No, not at all. Honorable Minister, you are out of order. You are grossly out of order.
Why am I out of order?
You are out of order. You are out of order. You are completely out of order. The portion that you have read, all right, was a reference to what government communicators have said about the use of the contingency fund. And to be clear, the contingency fund is a specific creature of the Constitution, and there are constitutional procedures. And in fact, the Honorable Minister himself has appeared before the Finance Committee when I was present, where he asked for approval under Article 178 of the Constitution, okay, because there are unforeseen expenditures that have to be made, for which provision has not been made in the appropriations bill of the prior year. So please, you are completely out of order. Please. Can we respect? No, please, Honorable Mesa.
Respectfully.
If you will take your turn to ask questions,
permit me.
Can you clarify? Please. I think there is a determined effort to put hurdles in the way of the Honorable Okujeto, and I don't think that is fair.
Unfortunate assertion, Chairman.
Mr. Co-Chairman,
Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me. Sami, you are a member of the senior and prominent member of the committee. Everything will be done to make sure that you have your say. Don't worry about it. But don't worry. These are legal arguments. So when we settle these arguments, you would have a free flow. But if you said that there's a deliberate attempt to put impediment, what word did you use? That is the same as deliberate, isn't it? To put impediments, you are not being fair to the committee. Sami, go on, make your point. The minister would answer to the extent that he can. The committee, in the end, would make our determination.
Chair, the minister's categorical statement is contained at paragraph 12. Nothing that has been read so far confirms what the minister said at paragraph 12. The proponents did not allege that payments had been made from the contingency fund, as he says in paragraph 12.
So we've settled that one. Move on with your next question.
And then, Chair, I would also need, I would need I'll need your direction, Honorable Co-Chairs, Honorable Katie Hammond and Honorable Dr. Yeni. My understanding of what we are doing is that the pursuit of Article 82.4, which is a referral from the Right Honorable Speaker, we are to make a determination, fact-finding of a sort, and we will submit our report. But consistently, I keep hearing the Honorable Witness saying that, oh, this matter has been established. This matter has been settled. Is it for him to determine for us if it was the constitutionality or unconstitutionality has been determined? I need your guidance.
I mean, we'll rule on all of that. I mean, we're not going to be able to shut his mouth. The minister is entitled to some sort of statements. I mean, in the end, we are here to determine for ourselves what exactly it is. I mean, He's talked about the constitutionality because consistently I'm saying that we are not here to determine the constitutional matter. We are here to apply the words of the Constitution. So to the extent that he makes his statement, we would then juxtapose it against the Constitution and see whether we are able to apply the details of it. Hey, don't pick and choose every little.
No, Chair, it's important.
We really need to make some progress, colleagues. The shouting match across the table and all that is not entirely helpful. Let's calm down.
So, Chair, I can proceed, and
you can. But
I will assure
a lot of time.
I will assure the Honourable Minister that I'm not on a fishing expedition at all, even though the Volta River goes through my constituency.
Is overruled.
So, the Honourable Minister says that some seed money, government contribution. Can the Honourable Minister let us know the value of that seed money, the quantum? What is that seed money?
Most respectfully, Honorable Co-Chair, we are here pursuant to the motion that is on the floor of Parliament. And the context in which the Speaker referred the matter to this committee is clearly stated on the face of the motion itself. And as far as I'm concerned, the question just put is veering out of the context of the motion. And
in what respect, Mr. Akwa-Sampson?
Honorable Chair, the remit of the inquiry that we are doing here is to establish whether there is a factual basis for a censure based on the provisions of law. Presumably, in this instance, the Constitution,
so
and
the
also,
Constitution and the standing orders.
Yes, and also the Fiscal Responsibility Act. Yes.
You're right, the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
Yes. Yeah. And so the facts that we are gathering must be the facts that relate to the context in which the censure can be evoked. Yes. And as far as I'm concerned, the last question that the Honorable member asked does not in any way advance that process at all, because it's outside the remit of the scope of the motion that is on the floor of Parliament.
So, yes, I can understand, but we're going to make a ruling and move away from this question in a minute. Yeah, we would. But I understand the point that Sami was making. Sami is saying that, well, Minister, admittedly, some monies have been taken. He's got some warrant for whatever. He's got quite a bit of it here. Something has been taken. I think he wanted some clarification from him. He doesn't probably trust the evidence he has, so he's asking him, confirm, how much have you taken? Minister doesn't remember how much he's taken. He doesn't remember. We can move on. I mean, it shows, you have the warrant, and the fact is made that monies have been taken. Let's make some progress, please.
Honorable Ahiefo, did you had your hand up for some? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, mine is a response to the issue being raised by Council for the Finance Minister. The Council for Finance Minister brought a response, and in the response, he is stating categorically that some payments were made towards the Cathedral. So if a member of the committee wants to know how much payment was made, I do not think he's derogating.
Colleague, that's the matter that we moved away from. Yes, he wanted to say something.
Chairman, I think we are wasting too much time on this. The Constitution makes an exception for withdrawals from the Consolidated Fund under Article 1781B Roman 1, with your permission. And the Minister has clearly stated that the monies that he took for the purposes of the Cathedral was based on the appropriation that Parliament approved. And it says no monies shall be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund except B1 by an Appropriation Act. And he's clearly laid the foundation that he got it from the other government obligations line. Period. I think it's clear.
It's clear. So, I mean, your next point, you won't ask any more questions on this one. So,
unless he can establish a contrary fact, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. So, we move on. Well, no, yeah, but he has to finish.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, when you go through the verbatim report, the proponents.
Wait a minute, this is still on which
Yes,
one?
National Cathedral. I'm still on the
but
National Cathedral.
But not on the money.
No, I would. Yes, I trust my intercepted document, so no problem.
I'm sure the national security apparatus is here who are intercepting documents.
I will grant their lawyers that if they don't want the minister to respond, that's okay. But going through the verbatim report, the proponents also indicate that there were other withdrawals, which they contend are unconstitutional withdrawals, for payment of architects, for relocation of judges, for compensation of demolished properties. What does the Minister of Finance have to say about that?
I mean, are we not revisiting the same point? Wait a minute. The point is that he's taking some money. Yeah, he's taking money from wherever it was taken from, for all the allied matters related to the Cathedral. So what is it better? To what? Agree to what? Put the question. Does he agree to which one?
Can he confirm they were those withdrawals?
Have you not shown us this document?
This one
compensation. The architect is not about the Cathedral.
Council, we just want your client to confirm if these withdrawals took place. That is a yes or no answer or an explanation. So that is there.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Co-Chair, sorry, my apologies. We do appreciate this, but we seem to think that this question is related to the overall questions that was posed in relation to the Cathedral project. So it appears that we are revisiting the same questions in various forms, and that is our concern. We seem to think that the Honourable Minister
Council, with all due respect, I think welcome to the world of Parliament.
Thank you, Honourable Co-Chair.
You probably are thinking that you are before the Supreme Court justices. No, this is not a judicial setting.
Not at all.
Yes. So in Parliament we ask follow-up questions. So allow the honourable member to ask his question. Your client is entitled to answer yes or no, and then we can proceed.
Very well.
Is anybody, we're waiting for answer or we should go on?
Mr. Chairman,
Sorry, say it again.
Not here.
Honorable Minister, are you ready to answer?
Sure, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. I I thought the primary issue was the legality of where we took the resources from, and I think we've explained it. And so now it gets to the question of the specificity of these things, and Mr. Chairman, I do not have that here.
Very well. Honorable Blakwa, do you have any further questions? And then we can move on to other members of the committee.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I will rest for now and cede to other members.
Very well. Honorable Patrick Boma. No, I am offering you the opportunity. Okay. Honorable Ejapa Mensah.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Finance Minister, the issue about...
This is friendly fire that is coming, so don't be worried.
I suppose that, yes, it will be friendly fire because I don't believe that people should be hanged for acts that they necessarily have not committed. And so it's important that it's friendly fire. So, Finance Minister, the issue about contingency vote and contingency fund, is it the usual course of government operations to expend, as you indicated in your response, referencing specifically the funding for the World Cup 2014 and also the World Cup 2022, for matters that are not specifically provided for in the budget to be funded from that vote? Is it the usual course of government operations to do that?
Mr. Co-Chair, it is, there's precedence and it is a practice. And I guess the issue of the creation of that line item or pocket of resources is because we live in a world of uncertainties in which there will be emergencies, and that allows for nimbleness or response, when it's needed. So that's where the contingency vote comes into play.
Obviously, this is not an activity of government that started when you became finance minister.
No, sir. I think we have the famous issue of Brazil that is very graphic to all of us.
That will be all for now.
Very well, Honorable Ahiefo. Do you have? Oh, sorry, Honorable Zenato. Before Honorable Ahiefo, Zaneto.
Thank you, Honorable Co-Chair. Just for clarity, would the Minister kindly inform the committee on how much the government of Ghana has spent to date on the National Cathedral?
That matter is settled. That matter is settled. That is the point. Wait a minute. That is the... Wait a minute, please. We are here for a purpose. We're not going to be repetitive. We're not going to repeat that. The matter that we got bogged in with Sami was the question of how much. Has this been paid yet? Has this been paid yet? He said, I think we were here, we heard him clearly, that, well, he might not be able to recall exactly how much has been paid in total up to date. He made that one clear. And your question again is that, well, can you tell us how much has been paid?
In all fairness, Co-Chair, in this age of electronic communication, and the easy availability of information from the Honourable Minister's ministry, the sum total of the expenditure to date can be put together easily. I'm sure. A fair question.
For the purpose of this
well, for purposes of getting, the minister to answer the question.
Honorable Co-Chair.
Yes.
On behalf of the minister, you would recall that on the first date.
Honorable, sorry, Counsel.
Yes.
Are you raising a legal technical point?
I am raising a point which, in my considered opinion, will offer appropriate information.
No. You cannot testify before this committee.
I'm not testifying.
If you want to testify on behalf of your minister, your client, then I'll let the in the clerk swear you in.
I don't have a problem with that.
Or you want to be sworn in?
I don't want to be sworn in. If I were to be sworn in, I will be a witness of truth.
A witness of fact. We don't know about the truth or otherwise of your testimony.
Yes, but that evidence will not even be coming from proper custody because I don't work at the Ministry of
Very well.
Yes. So, but at any rate, what I'm just trying to lay the context in which the minister is probably having a difficulty offering figures now, because at the beginning we opined that we needed particulars of the charge or the grounds that he was supposed to answer. If these had come in, it's just a matter of adding figures at the ministry and coming here to deliver the information. And I will go back to the motion on the floor of Parliament. It is not the duty of the minister to offer information that will, excuse me to say, promote his censure. The promoters of the censure motion, they should have collated all this information before they came here.
Counsel, so it's a very simple matter of the minister saying that I do not have the figures.
Exactly.
This committee will not reject that answer as inappropriate. Yes. I don't know why.
I think he has said
so that. If he says he doesn't have the figures, no one is going to compel him to produce them. Yes, Honorable. No, is that on a point of order?
Yes, Chairman. With due respect to Counsel, this matter crop up regarding furnishing the minister with particulars. This committee has taken a decision that after the evidence of the proponents, there will be a transcript furnish the finance minister. And that has been done. And some figures has been alluded to in the transcript. So I do not sit down here and have the feeling that regarding the transcript, there is any element of surprise to the minister. So if the minister, upon receipt of the transcript, is still maintaining that he is not aware of the figure, we'll take that as an answer. So let
us point him to the page where that particular figure is, and then let him comment on it. My friend.
No, it's okay. The minister is entitled to answer his question, and then.
Yes.
Honorable Co-Chair, am I to take it that I will not be given a response to my question? Because as a house of records, I could mention a figure that I have. Will the ministry be in a position to corroborate this by providing us with documents afterwards?
I think it's a better approach. You got a document like Sami had something. You know, you want to flash it at him and you want to seek clarification of that. We have no difficulty with that. But to ask
based on the total number I have so far, the amount that the government of Ghana has spent so far on the cathedral is $199 million, US dollars. I beg your pardon, US cedis. I beg your pardon.
Ghana cedis.
No, the amount of money spent by the government of Ghana to date is 199 million cedis. I corrected myself. Is that correct? And will the ministry be in a position to furnish the committee with the figures to either corroborate or otherwise the amount of money government of Ghana has spent on the National Cathedral to date?
Mr. Co-Chair, we will be able to in due course.
Very well.
Thank you. Co-Chair, the minister mentioned in his response on page 7 that the money was taken from what he referred to as a contingency vote. And my question is whether all the approved amounts have found expression in the budget subsequent to that, because usually this is an emergency or an ad hoc, but this appears to be an ongoing expense. Has this found expression anywhere? Has this found expression anywhere in the budget, in subsequent budgets that the minister has presented to the House?
Could you please clarify that question a bit?
Honorable Senator, the Honorable Minister is asking that you clarify.
What I'm referring to is the minister mentioned that the money that was spent on the cathedral came from a contingency vote, which is part of the contingency fund, Office of Government Machinery. Has this other government obligations, I beg your pardon, has this subsequently found expression in budgets that he has presented to the House subsequent to this?
Honorable Minister.
Madam Co-Chairs, thank you very much. It hasn't found the expression that the Honorable MP is seeking. But I think when we look at the Auditor General's opinion, Attorney General's opinion, I'm sorry, we should, in the ensuing years, as we stabilize how the funding will come, it should be able to come through that entity. So yes, no expression has been found as we speak. But given the opinion, I would imagine that's where it would happen.
Yes. I was given a new document. Okay, very well. Given that you clearly stated, Co-Chair, given that the Minister clearly stated that the information on the cathedral on page 9, I beg your pardon, in the new document on page 8 of the Minister's response, 18I, where he refers to the announcement of the establishment of the Board of Trustees and the Secretariat for the Castle, I beg your pardon, Cathedral, the approval of the groundbreaking ceremony, I, and then also the letter of intent signed, and then in IV, the announcement of the expansion of the Cathedral project to include a Bible museum. For me, the question I have is, given that all of these are so clearly stated, can the minister provide information or a bit of clarity to the committee why the amounts that were spent on the cathedral were not outlined as clearly as all the intentions and ceremonies that went along with the committee, with the cathedral, I beg your pardon?
Once the minister started, Zami, you don't have to put it on record, but tell me, I thought you were Catholic or Methodist or Christian, or you are not a Muslim, that I know, you are not.
Neither am I anti-cathedral, but you know that you know that in the Bible, in First Chronicles, in First Chronicles, the Lord stopped David from constructing a cathedral for him because he had shed blood. So when it comes to the house of God, God wants us to proceed in holiness, in purity, in cleanliness, to edify and to glorify Him.
You haven't answered.
So,
are you Methodist?
No, I know where you are headed to. I'm not atheist. I'm not a pagan. This strategy.
Honorable Ablanko, I think
I'm doing the Lord's work.
You made your point. He's, in fact,
the chairman
partially out of order.
We really have to. So what's going on there? What?
Mr. Co-Chair, I did mention the Attorney General's opinion, which now is going to reside all of this with the Museums and Monument Board, and will therefore, in the ensuing representations to Parliament, hope be a lot more specific as to how the financing would be done.
That's a fair answer. Please proceed.
Are you done with your questions on the cathedral, so we can make some progress?
No, not yet, but I thought we were making progress by going through each item.
Yeah, very well. So please proceed with it.
On the cathedral.
Yes.
You're not done with the cathedral?
No. Yes. I've actually only asked, I think, 2 questions, but each question has taken a while. So, yes. My third question, if my numbering is correct, is to do with the consulting, the architectural consulting firm that has been taken on board with regards to the building of the cathedral, the design and all of that, the construction. Is the ministry in a position to tell us how much is being given to the consulting firm and the architect? Specifically, Messrs. Sir David Ajay and Associates. Or should I?
Mr. Yeah, Co-Chair, I think this answered that question. That if need be, that could be provided.
Sorry, I didn't hear the. Be provided. Very well. Okay. Yes. And if I may ask a question, co-chairs, just seeking your direction and asking a question to the minister on the questions we're asking and a question in hindsight. Would you permit? My question would be to the minister whether in hindsight he would have presented the expected expenditure related to the cathedral to Parliament in a more transparent, I suppose, way to avoid.
I got it down. Hindsight is 2020, so maybe
I know.
we'll
hence
move
my
on.
question.
We'll move on. We won't deal with hindsight. So let's.
So you won't give the minister an opportunity
your
to.
Your current question. What's your current question? Don't deal with the hindsight.
I think the minister has even answered that question. If you are listening, he referred to the Attorney General's opinion and said on the advice of the Attorney General, they will do things differently. So we are looking forward to how differently the minister will do things. So are you done?
Yes, thank you.
Very well. No questions for the minister. Honorable Ben Adahiefo, you have any questions?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Since our side just stopped, Kwame, do you want? No. In fairness, that's the procedure. So in fairness, that's how we have been proceeding. So I don't want Kwame to think that I'm, being unfair to him. But if you want to yield to him, that should be fine. Okay. Very well. Very well. I mean, I'm yielding the opportunity to ask your questions now. That's what I meant. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to just ask a brief question to the Finance Minister on the issue under reference. Honorable Finance Minister, you tendered Attorney General's opinion in evidence in support of your evidence. Was the opinion of the Attorney General available at the time you were making the first payment to the National Cathedral?
Yeah, Mr. Co-Chair, opinion was in 25th March 2022.
So when was the first payment made?
I'm sure it was way before that time. As you know, we cut short somewhere 5th March 2020 or so.
Now, if you take a look at the opinion of the Attorney General, it never advised you on payment, but rather the legal status of the cathedral. Sure. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, the legal status, that's correct.
But never on payment?
Not that I read. It informs the direction in which you will take.
Which I disagree. Chairman, thank you very much.
Very well. Honorable Kwame Imedu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have only one question. Minister, it is true
Go ahead and ask your question.
It is true, is it not, that government funding had not been the only source of funding for the National Cathedral, if you know? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Co-Chair. Honorable, that is very true. That there's been a whole series of fundraising by the Cathedral Secretariat, including the Kitwebia and various activities which have been had to fundraise both locally and also in the US and UK by the Secretariat.
Okay, thank you. Any other honorable member wants to ask a question? If not, I want a clarification from the minister with respect to the technical term contingency vote. Would you normally use a contingency vote for foreseen planned expenditure?
Mr. Co-Chair, the issues we deal with in finance are numerous and complicated. There may be a foreseen expenditure, but there may be an emergency payment that is required. So, I mean, I'm not sure that I can be very helpful with that.
You announced the construction of the National Cathedral in the budget of 2017, is that correct? Or 2019, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. That's correct.
So clearly, it is something that your ministry anticipated would be the subject matter of some government expenditure.
Possibly, Mr. Co-Chair, there was also vigorous efforts on the part of the Secretariat to fundraise.
That is not. I do understand, and if I have the opportunity, I'll give you a check for that. But can we concentrate on the public resources that you are deploying for the construction of the cathedral and the approval processes? So,
what is the question then?
Yes. So the question is, at the time that you announced the construction of the cathedral, you clearly anticipated the deployment of public resources towards its construction, didn't you?
We did indicate the issue of government support with regards to the land, the Secretariat, and seed money. We did.
And in subsequent budgets, you came under other government obligations in order to utilize public resources for the construction, right?
That's correct.
Would you describe such as a contingency vote?
Would I describe?
Yes, because if we accept your position that the resources were allocated under other government obligations, all right. So let's take, for the sake of argument, that they were allocated under other government obligations and approved.
They were taken from other government obligations. That's different from.
Well, there was a vote of an envelope of resources approved by Parliament. So the animal called other government obligations was approved by Parliament.
Sure.
And there was an envelope of resources, available under other government obligations, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the resources for the cathedral were then taken from other government obligations.
That's it.
Right. So my question is, would you still describe that as a contingency vote? Since you planned ahead, the envelope of resources was predetermined, wasn't it? It was predetermined, Eva Mens. Yeah. It was predetermined because that line item certainly had a figure that Parliament approved.
Sure.
No. Are you saying, no, please, Kwame, you had your turn. Are you challenging the chair?
No, wait a minute.